One of the questions I get asked a lot on this journey is, how can I trust my intuition when I am trying to conceive? When you are so used to feeling overwhelmed and stuck in the state of fear of your future, it is no wonder that you struggle to tune inwards and really listen to that inner guidance. So on today's episode, I want to share with you a powerful step-by-step process to help you start living your life from that place of knowing. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. So this is part 2 of our 3-part series of coming back into alignment. So nothing throws your life out of alignment like infertility, am I right? So if you didn't listen to last week's episode, there's no rush. Go back and listen to it after this if you have a moment. But in episode 1, we spoke about reclaiming your life and how to find a little bit of joy and inner calm and just bringing back a sense of having something to look forward again when you are struggling through the depths of trying to conceive. So today we're diving even deeper into the disconnect that often happens between you and your body and how to begin to start listening to what it is that your body is trying to tell you, really getting into contact with your intuition. So throughout this month, the purpose of this 3-part series is to prepare you for what is coming up at the end of July, which is my awesome 3-day free live training series called Embrace the Journey. This is where we get to take all of these practices off the podcast and into person. Well, into Zoom on person. So we are going to be doing live practices, guided meditations, visualizations, yoga practices, somatic therapies. I'm going to teach you all of these things, how to work with them in terms of your cycle, how to use them as your regulating tools, which is of course something I speak so much about. And it's a wonderful way for me to just meet you and connect with you as well. You can ask me all your questions. I love running this series, and I'm not actually going to be running it again until next year in 2026. So it's free. It is the most wonderful way to come and connect and just be in the energy of others who are on this journey as well. All of the details are down in the show notes. If you want to register and find out more information, click on the waitlist link down below. So let's get into it. Disconnection from your body, intuition, and all of the things that we're going to be speaking out about today is a very common but very reversible effect of going through infertility, I find. And I just want to remind you that this approach is really gentle. And the whole point of what I teach my students and what I want to share with you today, it is about rebuilding that trust within your body and just reestablishing this sense of inner harmony. And there's no place for blame in any of this. And it isn't something that's going to be easy or something that you get necessarily quote unquote right or wrong. It's just a practice. And I'm going to give you all of the tools you need to come into that practice. So this episode is going to be especially helpful if you feel like your body is failing you, or you've been in that place where you've just lost trust with your body. You think, this is the one thing that my body is designed to do, but I can't do it. So, I love a list. Once again, we're going to use this episode with a list, and I find this just really helpful to break it down. And again, as always, feel free to take notes as you go. So, the first thing we're going to do is name the disconnection that we are having from our bodies. So this might sound a little bit weird. You're like, well, of course I'm connected to my body. I eat, I drink, I go to the bathroom, I shower. I'm used to all of the things that my body really wants. But are we? Are we really getting in tune with these little tiny signals and things that our bodies are telling us? When you get to that state of, we feel like maybe your body has betrayed you, or even little things like you're so tired of tracking your cycle and you're basal body temperature and timing everything and analyzing all the symptoms, and maybe you just so over this you feel numb. And numbness is something that ties into another part of this episode, which I'm going to come back to in a few minutes. Basically, we are told, I find a lot on this journey as women, that it's our fault, we're too old, we've left it too long, we've run out of eggs, our eggs are too old, all of the things. And I see this mentioned time and time and time again on social media. It's like women need to hear it so often. What are we going to do? Start trying to have babies when we're 19? No. We understand that infertility is impacted as we get older, but all of this self-blame comes from such a strong societal push against women. So I want you to know it is not your fault. And also on top of that, like, we are never told or taught as young women to trust our bodies. If I think about what the sex ed was like at my school, and I went to quite a progressive school for the 90s, right? You know, it was all about contraception and making sure you didn't get pregnant and STIs. And basically your body was just this thing that was a problem. We were told to push our periods away, something that we don't talk about. Oh, heaven forbid, you know, you get your period and, can I borrow a tampon? Like, why are we so ashamed of the natural, normal things that make us healthy women? That's probably an episode for another day. And I do get very passionate about that. But basically, I want to mention that because you come from the patriarchy and you come from a place in society that tells you that your body is wrong. So there is nothing to worry about when it comes to blame, because it is something that you probably did without even thinking about it. The other thing that happens when we are struggling through infertility is that your body is literally taken away from you. We hand our bodies over to our doctors. We are given blood tests, scans, procedures, internal scans. These things have a huge impact. You know, you're basically this science experiment. I had a student tell me a couple of weeks ago, she said, I literally feel like a science project every time I go into the clinic. They can't find out what's wrong. I'm being given blood tests left, right, and center. I've had so many surgeries, so many procedures, so many ultrasounds. And again, there's this blame when treatments don't work. It's like, well, what is wrong with my body? So I want you to name the disconnection that is coming up for you, or just take a few moments to notice if any of the things that I am speaking about here resonate for you. Were you taught that periods were shameful? Were you taught that your body, when it came to sexual health, was the only thing you needed to worry about was avoiding getting pregnant when you were a teenager? I mean, all these things, these messages that we're taught for decades, they have an impact. So start to become aware of how you may have been disconnected a little bit from your body. And if you have been on this journey for months or years already, maybe you are so sick of tracking your cycle and timing intercourse and all of the things that go along with this journey, I want you just to name them and be aware of them. All right, the second thing we get into here's where it gets a little bit more fun. So I want you to think about what it means to reconnect to your body. So when I say reconnect to your body, what comes up for you in that sense? If I go back 5 or 6 years and I think, I was someone who taught movement for a living. I was used to working with bodies and correcting movement patterns, and I thought I was so in tune with what my body needed. But it came from a place of, I am going to do this because it's going to mean my body does what I want it to do, like exercise, like food. I think we all grow up from a place of we're going to do something in order to make our bodies produce a certain result. But I think the idea of reconnecting with your body is really flipping that. So instead of coming from, thinking about what your body wants, asking your body to inform your thoughts. And we have to know, like, our bodies are designed to reproduce. Like we are programmed month after month. Like that is our biological programming. So if you are not getting pregnant, it isn't because your body is broken or that you're doing something wrong or, something needs to be fixed. But maybe there are some little signals that your body is telling you that it needs a little bit more support along the way, in many ways, just like I did in order to bring my babies home. I'm going to talk about now the top-down approach of connecting with our bodies versus the bottom-up. So top-down approach is things like talk therapy, affirmations, anything where we're really involving language. And we are thinking about what we want our bodies to do. So as I mentioned before, using exercise to make your body look a certain way, or using nutrition to make your body feel, whether that's restrictive or nourishing, but it's this conscious way of saying, I am going to do this and my body's going to produce X result. Now, the bottom-up approach is the somatic approach, and that is where we get to tune in with our bodies and ask what they need. As I mentioned on last week's episode, my body was screaming at me when I was struggling through infertility. Screaming at me. I ended up with a thyroid condition. I developed chronic insomnia. I was an absolute misery to live with. Everything triggered me. I couldn't settle down. I just couldn't find a place of peace throughout my day. And all of these little things, every time I was triggered, every time I went into that fight or flight response, it was all of these things. My poor body was just screaming at me. What is that saying? At first, your body will throw a little pebble, then it will throw a rock, and then it will throw a big boulder. I was being thrown the boulders, and I was not listening. I was like, nope, we're going to keep going. We're going to do another round of IVF. We're going to focus on what the doctors said. I'm going to take XYZ supplements. You're going to do as I say. And it didn't get me anywhere. So the bottom-up approach is about taking a moment, and I'm going to explain how we do this, like in an actual kind of step-by-step process in a moment, but it's about things like using the role of breath and movement and ritual in rebuilding that relationship with your body. And cycle syncing is something I'm really passionate about. And whether you have a natural cycle or not on this journey, whether that's due to menstrual problems or perhaps you're going through treatment so you don't have a natural cycle, but being in tune with the different flow of energy and the different things that your hormones are doing at different times of the month. This is something that I found out way too late on in my life. I really wish that instead of all the fairly useless sex education that I received at school, I wish I had been taught that instead. So it is really important that we start using some of these practices to allow our bodies to tell us what they need. When we are in a state of chronic dysregulation, I spoke about this a little bit last week, we can often move past this state of fight or flight and we move into what is known as the dorsal state or shutdown. And that's where we tend to feel a bit numb. We feel so disconnected from our bodies that we don't even know when we're hungry. We don't know if we're tired. It is a place where apathy, hopelessness, depression tend to live. Getting into that state of shutdown, it's a survival response where your brain says, I don't think we can fight this threat. I don't think that there's any way we're going to survive fighting or fleeing from what's going on. So instead, I'm going to shut down. I'm going to numb you so you don't have to feel the pain of what you're going through. It's actually if you think about it, it's a beautiful thing that our bodies are designed to do. But in practice, when we know that something actually isn't life-threatening, it's a really hard place to come out of. And if you find that you are getting into those places at any stage, being able to reconnect with your body and your intuition here is going to be crucial. So, how do we start listening to our bodies? I'm going to give you a really gentle practice. I love this so much. It is so simple. It's something I do every day. I did every day in the end when I discovered my yoga practice. And it is just about connecting your body and your breath. So, if you're driving, you probably can't do this, but if you are at home or even if you're out on a walk, you can place one hand onto your heart and one hand onto your lower belly. And if you're in a place where it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes. Really press your hands gently against you. Really feel the warmth of your body. See if you can notice the heart rate, the gentle beat of your heart. See if you can notice the natural rise and fall of your chest and your belly as you breathe. So without trying to change anything, we're just noticing. Now we're going to start to breathe a little more deeply. So as you inhale, feel that energy coming up into your heart, into the hand that is gently at your chest. And as you exhale, I want you to feel that energy drawing back down to the low belly, to the womb space, and just feel that hand pressing in. So again, we breathe up into the heart and then down into the womb, down into the belly. Just take a few slow, deep breaths in this place. And from this place, as we start to signal to our brains that we are safe, we can come into a little more of a state of calm and regulation. I want you to ask your body, how do you feel today? Are there any messages that you have for me? Is there anything that you want me to know? And the first time you do this, it might feel a little bit weird. We don't talk to our bodies very often. But you would be amazed sometimes at the things that come up. Now, I want you to get into a place here where you're not expecting an answer, where you're not attached to receiving a particular message. I just want you to be open to receiving without any judgment. There is no pressure to fix anything. Just like opening the dialogue. You're just calling your body and saying, hey, I'm here on the phone. If there's anything you want to chat about, I'm here. If not, that's okay, but I'm here. So I invite you to do this each and every day. It's a really powerful regulating tool, a somatic tool that helps you reconnect with your body. So we're going to go a little deeper from here. And the third thing we're going to speak about today is how to then reconnect with your intuition. Now, I got you to get into the space of reconnecting with your body first because we can't connect to our intuition until we're coming from it from a place of regulation. We need to be in touch with our bodies, and I'll explain why in a moment, from that place where we are calm. If we're dysregulated, we're not going to be able to listen to what is going on. And I think this is where people go wrong when they're trying to listen to their intuition. I get asked this a lot. They're like, well, what's the difference between fear and anxiety? And I don't know if it's fear telling me something or if it's my intuition telling me something. So this is where people get a little bit confused. And I want to show you how to tell the difference. So I like that practice of getting quiet first. So hand on heart, hand on belly, and just connecting inwards. Just asking your body what's going on and how she feels today, or he, if you're a man listening to this too, also very important. So we need to find a physical reaction to these questions that we're about to ask. So when we are then feeling a little more calm, the way that we are going to tell if it is our intuition talking versus some thoughts is the sensations that arise within our physical body. So what does that mean? I want you to take a moment just to get quiet. And as a statement, I want you to say something to yourself that you know is untrue. So for example, smoking a whole packet of cigarettes every day is good for me. Something silly like that. And it can be anything, like having an argument with my partner makes me feel great. Just something that you know just fundamentally is just not true. It can be totally silly. And just listen to your body. Maybe repeat it to yourself a few times and see what comes up. What reaction does your body have physically? Do you get tight in your throat? Do you feel just a bit irritated? Do you feel like you need to just sort of shake out a little bit of tension? Notice the physical sensations that come up. Now I want you to ask yourself, or say to yourself, something that you know is true, completely true. For example, getting 8 or 9 hours of interrupted sleep is good for me. Taking a mental health day where I get to spend time with my partner and doing all the things that I love is good for me. Now, how does your body feel when you say something like this that you know is true? Maybe there's a lightness, that sense of heaviness just starts to lift. Feel a bit of tingling, pins and needles in the hands, the feet. So this is how you're going to know whether it's your intuition talking or it's just thoughts trying to play the game. So when you need to ask yourself an important question, you've got an important decision to make. Do I take a break from treatments this month? Is this protocol that this doctor is suggesting the right thing for me? Or do I need to get a second opinion? Or do I really need to go to that event on the weekend with all my pregnant friends? Or is it just going to overwhelm me? Whenever you've got a question that you need the answer to and you want to tap into your intuition, that inner knowing, ask the questions and notice what your body's physical response is. And I encourage you to do it for little decisions. So maybe just something like, yes or no to which restaurant should I go to for dinner on the weekend? Or what should I plan for this day out with my partner? Just something little, and just sort of tap into, what is your intuition telling you? What is your body sort of saying, oh, I really actually want that. So this is an amazing way to get out of our heads and to start making decisions from our gut or our intuition from our bodies. So I hope that was helpful. Last little piece that we're going to go through today is our homework. I'm going to have to stop calling it homework because I did that last week too, didn't I? Okay. It is a journaling practice. So again, if you are out and about right now, you're driving, save this episode, come back to it later, because as I mentioned on last week's episode, the first part of this series, when you take this aligned action, when you are able to integrate some of the things that we are intellectualizing and speaking about now and pull them into our bodies and our shared and lived experiences, that is where we really start to make change. So I'm going to give you some journal prompts. So the first thing I need you to do again is to just get a little bit quiet, find a sense of calm, maybe do that hand on heart, hand on belly breath for a couple of minutes or a few rounds. And then we're going to open up a dialogue and kind of tuning in with what your body needs. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, what does my body need today in this moment? See what comes up. And I don't want you to question it. Just write it down straight away. Now, the next question I want you to write out is there anything that my body wants me to know? So take those two questions and spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes just writing out, and maybe ask the question to yourself a few times over and just see what comes up. You may be really surprised at what your body needs. So I hope that this episode has been helpful. I love sharing some of these practices with me. I would love for you to voice note or email me or DM me anything that's come up for you as you have gotten in tune with your body throughout this episode. And like I mentioned at the start, this somatic work is really at the heart of what I do and what I love. I love nothing more than going through these practices with students. And mark your calendars, July 29th this month, we're going to start this free 3-day live training series where you can really start to build your own toolbox of things that are going to help you along this journey. I really want to help you rebuild that trust with your body and reconnect with that inner knowing, because I honestly think it is the answer to so much within our lives. It is going to serve you well beyond this journey of trying to conceive. So if you have any questions about the free training series that is coming up, please reach out, let me know. As I did mention last week, it is a standalone training series. You will receive all of the recordings of everything that we go through. I will teach you about cycle syncing, using breath work, using your regulating tools, calming your nervous system, guided meditations. This is something that you can take with you and it is yours. I often get told that this training series is more valuable than things that people have gone off and paid hundreds of dollars for. So it is something that I want you to have. Yes, I do have an incredible program that will open up that is available to you at the end of that. It is my In Your Element Fertility Yoga program. It is a month-to-month membership, which costs $39 per month. And it is something that will allow you to really tailor these practices to your exact concerns, your fertility journey, and any sort of diagnoses or anything that is going on within your body. So all of that is coming up. It is such an exciting month over here, and I'm just thrilled that I get to have you along for the ride. So I'm going to recap a little bit of what we went through today. So my powerful process for reconnecting with your body and your intuition. So remember, number 1 was being able to name that disconnection and how that has come up. So what are some of the things that have happened in your life that have disconnected you from your body? And number 2 is bringing back that sense of connection with your physical body. The third thing was cutting out all of the noise and listening into that intuition. It is never wrong. I guarantee you, it will never steer you on the wrong path, but it is just a matter of being able to listen and to know when it is telling you what it needs and what it wants. And then the last thing was to go through your journaling prompts, and I'd love to hear what comes up from those. So thank you so much for being here. If you found this episode helpful, I would absolutely love it if you could leave me a quick written review, whether you get your podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever it might be. A quick review or a comment just means the absolute world to me. I love reading them. I read all of them myself, and it helps to really get this message out to others who may need it. So next week on the podcast, we're going to wrap up this 3-part series with managing your fertility your way and trusting the timing of your own journey without comparing it to anyone else. And I'm going to share how to walk this path in a way for you that just feels supported. It feels like yours, uniquely yours, and sacred at the same time. So until then, I cannot wait to have you back on the podcast, but I'm sending you all of my wishes until then.